Today we're going to talk about building the college list. There are several considerations that you want to take into account when starting your college search. First, you might want to consider distance from home. Would you prefer to be within a 1 to 3 hour drive, or maybe you're comfortable getting on an airplane and traveling across the country? You also want to consider size. A small school is considered 2,000 students or less, medium size is 2,000 to 8,000, and large is anything above 8,000. You'll want to think about where you'll really thrive. In terms of setting, you'll want to consider, would you prefer to be in an urban location in a city, maybe a suburban location, or even a rural location? You'll also want to consider what region of the country you'll want to be in, maybe the Northeast, West, or even the South. You'll also want to consider the acceptance rate, as well as the average GPA and average test scores of each school you're applying to. You don't want to forget to consider the housing. If you want to live on campus for the whole time you're there, you want to make sure that housing will be available. Otherwise, you might want to consider if students live off campus, or maybe it's a commuter school. Some schools are religiously affiliated, so if that's important to you, you'll want to check that out. And then you want to know where the students are coming from. Are they mostly international? Are they mostly from one region in the country? You can check out the percentages for each student body to see where students are coming from geographically. Inside of the classroom, you want to take a look at the curriculum to see if it's more liberal arts focused or career focused. Maybe there's special programs that you're interested in pursuing, whether it be a major or maybe a pre-med track, pre-law. You want to look at the average class size. Maybe you are best in classes where you can really discuss in a small environment, or maybe you prefer to sit back and take notes in a lecture style classroom. You want to consider what kind of access you want to faculty. Do you want to have close relationships to your professors, or would it not bother you if they didn't know your name? There's a couple other things you might want to look at, including advising programs, any kind of special support services, and tutoring. Outside of the classroom, you may want to consider the campus culture, athletics, any kind of student organizations, including visual and performing arts, safety on campus. Maybe food is really important to you, so you want to check out the dining services. And then other things outside of campus, like community service activities, studying abroad, and internships. When researching colleges, there's a few places you can go. The very best way to get an idea of what a college is like is to do a tour on campus. When that's not possible, you can do a virtual tour online. And you can also do information sessions either in person or online. If your school allows for interviews, that is a great opportunity to get to know the school a little bit better. And then you should always take advantage of counselor visits if an admissions counselor comes and visits your high school. You can also talk to admissions counselors at college fairs whenever there's a college fair at your high school or maybe in your city. Another great way to learn about schools is to connect with former students. Maybe you know someone from your high school who went to a school that you're interested in. If your school uses Naviance or another admission software, that would be another place that you could take a look and see different profiles for different colleges. And you can also, of course, go to the school's website. When starting your college search, these are two websites that I recommend: College Board Big Future and College Express Lists. College Board Big Future allows you to select a bunch of different criteria to find your perfect school. So you might put in that you're looking for a 4-year private school in the Northeast with on-campus housing and a political science major. It will then show you all the different colleges that match that criteria. College Express Lists has a bunch of different lists for all different types of interests. So you can see here, they have one that says smallest colleges in the US. Maybe you're interested in doing Army ROTC. So they have a list for all the colleges that offer that. They even have a list for colleges with A+ for vegan dining services. Another option is to go directly to the school's website. You'll notice here for Dartmouth admissions that they have virtual information sessions offered online, as well as online campus tours. You can also connect with a current student or read their blog. Here are some other websites you can use when you're researching colleges. I already mentioned Big Future and College Express. Some of my other favorites include UVisit, where you can do virtual college tours. Campus Reel gives you a tour from a student who attends that college. So it's kind of like a day in the life of a student at that particular school. Unigo is one of my favorite for student reviews, and YouTube can be great for other videos that give you a real look into the campus community. When you start to research your schools, you want to organize it in a list like this. You want to include the name of the school and then important information like SAT and ACT averages, the acceptance rate, and the number of students that attend that college. When you start to research, you want to keep all of these factors in mind. You want to keep track of important deadlines, including if they have early action, early decision, or regular decision. Maybe they have rolling. So make sure you keep all those deadlines in mind and you write those down in your spreadsheet. SAT and ACT averages, as well as requirements. Are they test optional or do they require you to submit the test? Do they require or recommend subject tests? Not many schools really require them, but some do prefer to see them. So it's important that you make note of that when you're doing your research. Is the application on the Common App, the Coalition app, or does the school have their own application like Georgetown or MIT? Do they require recommendations? Some schools won't look at recommendations at all, while others will require 2 teacher recommendations and a school counselor recommendation. Do they consider demonstrated interest? That's important to know so that if they do, you can make sure that you're demonstrating interest early on in the admission cycle. Finally, do they offer interviews? Make sure to record all that information while you're doing your research so you don't have to go back and look for it when you need it. Finally, once you have a full list, you want to consider balancing that list. We recommend you apply to 8 to 12 schools. Within those 8 to 12 schools, you should have 2 to 3 reaches, 2 to 3 matches, 2 to 3 likelies, and 1 financial safety. To determine if your school is a match, a reach, or a likely, you want to take this into account. A reach is a school that has less than a 25% acceptance rate, and your academic profile, meaning your test scores and your GPA, are in the bottom 25% of those accepted. For a match school, the acceptance rate is higher than 25%, and your academic profile is actually in the middle 50% of those who are admitted. For a likely school, or sometimes you'll hear safety school, your academic profile is in the top 25% of admitted students. And finally, I recommend that students add a financial safety, which usually is a public school in state, and so it's a school that students know they can afford. That's all for today.